my name's Felicia and I like scary movies, and today we're talking about a modern day Frankenstein tale. So this past weekend I got the chance to see Depraved, which is the new Larry Fessenden movie. If you don't know, Larry is the founder of Glass Eye Pix and is a very accomplished indie horror writer, director, actor, etc, etc, etc. He's a man of many talents and you're going to hear more about him on my channel in the future, so wink wink, nod nod, see you soon. So as I said, The Depraved is a modern Frankenstein tale, but it has some differences, and the biggest one is that it's really mostly from the monster perspective, which is pretty exciting. Some general plot for you. So our Frankenstein character in this movie is actually named Henry. He is a field surgeon who has some pretty severe PTSD. He's come back from war, and he's a scientist, and he's working on this experiment to sort of cheat death, if you will. He's received funding and body parts from a character named Polidori. If you know that reference, comment it down below. And pretty much at the beginning of the movie, the monster that Henry has created comes to life. And that first moment he does really kind of sets the tone for the movie and makes it this modern take, because Henry is like, holy shit, what? And like, it's like taking a video and is freaking out. Henry decides to name his monster Adam, and I find that funny for two reasons. One, because the character himself says it's totally unoriginal, and the second reason I liked it is because there is a character, a version of Frankenstein's monster in Buffy the Vampire Slayer named Adam in season 6. The big thing I really loved about this movie was the perspective being told from the monster, and I like that for a couple of reasons. One, because I think most people feel empathy for Frankenstein's monster, but in this version it's like so much more specific, because Adam, when he wakes up, he doesn't know who he is, and he's also having a lot of strange flashbacks, which is something else I love about the film that I'll talk about later. But he's really dealing with an identity crisis, not knowing who he is, where he came from, why he asked the question somewhere in the film, like, why was I never small? And I was like, whoa, right. And then he's also dealing with extreme loneliness, because Henry is keeping him locked up in this Brooklyn loft. No one can see him, and then anyone he does meet, he feels totally overwhelmed by, because they're looking at him like, you know, a monster. And he's never met anyone else besides Henry. I was also really interested in the relationship between Henry and Adam in this movie, because Henry really takes on like a father role that I don't know if I've seen so specifically in other Frankenstein tales. He's not only taking care of Adam physically and making sure he's like taking medication, that all the surgery is working, and that he's clothed and fed, but he's also taking care of him on an emotional level and like an intellectual level, if you will. He's teaching him how to speak and communicate and problem solve, and also helping him when he's scared or confused or nervous. And then it sort of sets up Henry to become like the failed father figure by the end of the movie, which I think is really smart, because that's sort of what Frankenstein is. He's playing God, he's playing father, and then when his monster goes out of control, he just wants to kill it, right? An interesting and very dark parenthood connection that I just made. Something else I liked in the movie was the fact that Larry, the writer, director, editor, etc. He also has one cameo in the movie, I believe. He puts a lot of references to past tellings of Frankenstein in this movie, which I thought was really fun. He does it with some pretty interesting visual effects. One thing, for example, is at a certain point he takes us visually into black and white with big lightning, like we have in like the original Frankenstein. We have the sound effects of big stomping feet when Adam is like walking down the hallway, like it feels like his feet are like 100 million, what? It feels like he's got big feet, which of course is a thing of the original Frankenstein. He's in these like giant platform shoes, but then he sort of yes-ands that with some modern updates. Like, for example, Adam has, you know how the modern Frankenstein has like the stitches across his forehead. In this one, Adam has the stitches across the back of his head, because in brain surgery they actually like take the scalp off this way to do brain surgery and then put it back. They would never go this way. And so that's just like an interesting modern update that's like very specific and cool. By the way, I don't think I mentioned it before, but the actor that plays Henry is named David Call, and I know him from something. Oh, he's in The Sinner. Okay, he's in The Sinner. I've seen that. I also think, hold on. Okay, yeah, so he went to NYU Tisch and to the Atlantic Acting School, which is where I went to school, and I'm pretty sure he gave a guest class while I was there. I feel really guilty that I don't actually remember so specifically, but I'm pretty sure he gave a guest class while I was in school there. But I thought he did a very good job. He does a good job playing this character that is at sometimes a villain and at sometimes the seemingly only sane person in the room. And I think he does a pretty good job with that. I also want to give another shout out to Anna Kane, who played Liz, who is Henry's girlfriend. A shout out to the actress, yes, but also just the character of Liz. She is like the girlfriend of the year in this movie. She does things for her boyfriend. It's like, I don't want to give too much away, but she pretty much is fully down to help out her boyfriend no matter how bad he fucks up. It's just like, she's girlfriend of the year in my book. And now let's hit just a couple of spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, click away. And if you don't care, keep watching. Alright, I'm putting this in the spoiler section because I thought it was one of the coolest things about the movie and I don't want to give it away, is that the flashbacks I mentioned earlier that Adam has are due to the fact that different parts of his body came from different people, and so he's having flashbacks. Those body parts are giving him memories of the person that had those body parts. Does that make sense? So particularly in this one, he is seeing flashing images of the guy whose brain he has. He is seeing his girlfriend in these images, and like it's really cool. Like, I've never really thought about that in a Frankenstein tale, the fact that the body parts make a big difference in how this Frankenstein creature will behave and think. It was a cool idea. I like that. Ooh, this I guess is a spoiler, so I guess I will put it here. But there's this character named Shelley who's played by Addison Timlin, and she basically is at this bar, and Adam escapes and comes and meets her at this bar, and they start talking, and she is just so good in the movie. Like, I just love her as an actress. I don't know who she is. I've never seen her before, but she was like so charismatic and amazing. And then, this is the spoiler, Adam ends up killing her, and then Henry has to cover up for Adam, and all that jazz ensues. But I just thought she was really great. And before I close this review, the last thing I'll leave you with is my favorite line in the movie, which was, and I wrote it down, the extreme sports of biology. That's, I think it was, I can't remember who said it in the movie. I think it was Pilidori. I think he said it, but he was basically talking about the building of a man and making of a man, saying it was the extreme sports of biology, and I was like, that is accurate. That's it, guys. I hope you liked this review. If you want to see Depraved, it is in select theaters right now, and also probably coming to streaming platforms soon. I don't know much about that, but I will try to look it up, and if I can find anything, I will link it in the description. And that's it. I'll see you in the next video. Have a nice scream. Bye.